Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon to my friends and Madam Anne. My name is Nashwa Amira binti Amiruddin. I'm in program Bachelor of Medical Imaging, cohort 12A. For my part, I will be presenting about corticobulbar tract. So I hope you enjoy and stay focused. So let's go. Okay, so here is the learning outcomes, which is the content that I will be present in my slides. Okay, so first thing, we will know about the neural pathways that are involved. And then second, we will know where the nuclei located. The nuclei involved located. The third one, there are few different cranial nerves that are involved within this tract. And fourth, structures that are innervated by this tract. And fifth, we will know the dysfunction that will be expected when this tract is impaired. Impaired means damaged or disabled macam tu. Okay, so here is just a basic introduction. Corticobulbar tract is actually under the descending tract. Descending tract is a pathways by which motor signals are sent from the brain to lower motor neurons, which directly innervate muscles to produce movement. Descending tract divided into two major groups, which is pyramidal tract and extrapyramidal tract. Pyramidal tract originate in the cerebral cortex and responsible for voluntary control, while extrapyramidal tract originate in the brainstem and responsible for the involuntary and automatic control. So under pyramidal tract, there are two divided into two, which is corticospinal tract and corticobulbar tract. So this is my topic that I will be present, corticobulbar tract. Okay, so here we will know briefly about corticobulbar tract. We see the definition first, which definition of corticobulbar tract is a motor pathway from the motor cortex of the brain to the motor nuclei of cranial nerves within the brainstem. Why is it named as corticobulbar tract? Is because the tract is attached to the cortex. It's originate from the cortex, and the bulbar. Bulbar means brainstem. So this tract is attached within the motor cortex to the brainstem. Okay, so here we see the function. Function function of corticobulbar tract is a pathway involved in voluntary movement using muscles of the head, neck, and face. Example, muscles that control mastication. Mastication is another word, chewing, expression, and eye movement. Corticobulbar tract travels from the cortex as part of the pyramidal system along with the corticospinal tract, but it terminates on cranial nerve nuclei in the brainstem instead of continuing down to the spinal cord. Okay, so kat sini corticobulbar dengan corticospinal dia ada same pathway kan. Dia ada same pathway. And then tapi corticobulbar ni dia akan stop dekat brainstem je. Whereas kalau corticospinal tract dia akan terus turun dekat spinal cord, which dia akan innervate muscles lower limb, macam tangan, kaki macam tu. But corticobulbar tract dia just innervate muscles dekat head, neck and dengan face. Okay, so next. So this is where we will look detail about corticobulbar tract. So this is the origin, motor cortex, specifically in the precentral gyrus, and then it will descend down to the internal capsule, which is these are the nucleus that involved in this corticobulbar tract, to the brainstem, pons and medulla. So we will look detail about corticobulbar tract pathway. Corticobulbar tract originates from upper motor neurons located in the lateral aspect of the primary motor cortex. Kita tahu tadi corticobulbar tract kan, origin dia dekat primary motor cortex kan, which is around here. And then the arising fibers converge to pass within the corona radiata, the knee genu of the internal capsule, here. Then continue through the cerebral pendaka of the midbrain to reach the brainstem. While this tract descending through the brainstem, corticobulbar tract terminate on motor nuclei of certain cranial nerve within the midbrain, pons and medulla. Midbrain, pons and medulla, they consider as a lower motor neurons in this corticobulbar tract pathway, which they carry efferent signals directly to the muscles of the face, head dengan neck. Okay, so in this slide, we will know different cranial nerves that are involved in the corticobulbar tract, and also the structure or the muscles that are innervated by this nucleus. So here we have upper motor neurons, which is the brain, and lower motor neurons, the brainstem, the pons and medulla. So here are the specific nucleus that have in the brainstem, which is oculomotor nucleus and trochlear nucleus. These both nucleus innervate the muscles of the eyes. Next, we have trigeminal motor nucleus, which innervate the muscles for mastication, muscles that involve in chewing, which is jaw. And then we have abducens nucleus that innervates the muscle of the eyes. We have facial motor nucleus. They innervate the muscles of the face. And then we have nucleus ambiguus, muscles for swallowing. And lastly, we have hypoglossal nucleus, which innervate the muscles of the tongue. But today, I will be more focused to trigeminal motor nucleus, muscles for mastication, facial motor nucleus, and hypoglossal nucleus. Okay, so we will continue about the corticobulbar tract pathway. It is important to understand the organisation of the corticobulbar fibers. Corticobulbar fibers ni, dia more likely macam the way how they connected to each nucleus tau. Okay, so there are few ways. First, bilaterally, and second, contralaterally. Many of these fibers innervate the motor neurons bilaterally. Maksudnya, kita tahu bi is two, right? Dekat setiap nucleus tu, dia ada two sides tau, right punya side and left punya side. So tract ni dia akan connect dekat nucleus tu bilaterally, dia akan connect dekat dua-dua nucleus tu. Say for example, fibers from left primary motor cortex act as upper motor neurons for the right and left trochlear nerves. However, there are few exceptions to this rule. Facial motor nucleus dengan hypoglossal nucleus. Facial motor nucleus, they have contralateral innervation. Actually, they have both way, bilateral and contralateral. But we will look further after this. This only affects the muscles in the lower quadrant of the face below the eyes. And next, hypoglossal nucleus, which only provide contralaterally innervation. Okay, so this is the diagram about corticobulbar tract pathway. Just now, the previous slide, we just casually say bilateral, contralateral. We can't imagine yet, right? So here are the diagram. Okay, so we know the origin is from primary motor cortex, and the tract will descend down, pass through the internal capsule. If you remember the earlier slide, they said it will pass through the knee genu of internal capsule. Kita tengok kat sini, internal capsule ni dia macam ada bentuk melengkung macam ni kan. Corticobulbar tract pathway ni dia akan pass through dekat tempat melengkung ni. That is the knee genu of internal capsule. And then the tract continue down to the midbrain dekat cerebral pendaka. And then here dekat pons ni, dekat trigeminal motor nucleus ni, inilah waktunya bila dia connected bilaterally. Here. Nampak tak? Dia connect dekat right side punya nucleus. Dia connect juga dekat left side punya nucleus. And then, ini contralateral. Dekat facial nucleus ni, dia kan satu connected dekat right side, satu connected dekat left side. Dekat left side ni, dia ada dua kan. Dia ada dua fiber, corticobulbar fiber ni. Yang satu tu lah dipanggil contralateral. Contra means opposite side kan. Daripada right motor cortex ni, dia akan supply nerve dekat left side of the body. That is why we call contralateral. This is at hypoglossal nerve also supply signal contralaterally, but we can't see here clear enough. It's okay. After this, I have provide diagrams so that we can understand well. Okay, so here is the clear image about facial motor nucleus. We have right side of the body and left side of the body. As I said earlier, facial motor nucleus innervated bilaterally and contralaterally, kan? Okay, so kita tengok facial motor nucleus ni, we can divide into two parts tau. Upper face division and lower face division. Upper face division dia supply nerve dekat upper part of our face. Contoh eye, forehead. But lower face division, they supply signal to lower part of our face. Nose, mouth, below the eye lah. Okay, so we can see here there are input that being supplied to the upper face division from right side of the cortex and left side of the cortex. They supply bilaterally. Yang contralaterally tu, left side of the cortex ni, input daripada left side, dia supply to right side of the body. Tapi untuk lower face division. So, if let's say, kalaulah berlaku something like damage, berlaku lesion. Lesion means damage or disable kan dekat corticobulbar tract kita ni. Kita tengok dekat garisan A, line A ni. Okay, contohlah ada damage dekat situ. Contoh, left side of our cortex macam damage and affect kita punya corticobulbar tract ni. Okay, so apa yang berlaku dekat muka kita ni, untuk upper face division, untuk mata dengan dahi, dia takkan effect apa-apa tau. Sebab dia ada backup daripada right side punya cortex. Dia still dapat input daripada right side of cortex tu. Tapi untuk lower face division dia akan berlaku something lah, macam paralyzed ke, macam drooping ke, sebab nerve yang dekat left side of cortex tu dah rosak. So dia tak dapat nak supply signal dekat lower face punya part lah. Macam tu. Okay, so untuk hypoglossal nucleus, hypoglossal dia innervated muscle of the tongue. And hypoglossal nucleus kan connected contralaterally kan. Dia tak ada bilaterally, contralaterally. So kita tengok kat sini, right side of our cortex, dia bagi input, bagi signal dekat left side of kita punya tongue. Macam tu. Dia supply opposite daripada motor cortex punya side. That is how they connected contralaterally. Okay, so that's all about corticobulbar tract. Actually, there are few more nucleus kan yang I tak sebut. But that nucleus all connected bilaterally. Only facial nucleus dengan hypoglossal tu je connected contralaterally. Okay, so kita dah tahu how corticobulbar tract function kan. Okay, so here is clinical significance. Maksudnya effect kalau corticobulbar tract tu berlaku lesion. Okay, we see here unilateral lesions to the corticobulbar usually do not result in any clinical effect on the neck and head muscles, as the lower motor neurons of the brainstem receive bilateral corticobulbar innervation. Macam I cakap tadi, kalau bilateral dia ada backup. Kalau satu part of otak kita rosak, kita still boleh terima input lagi another side of our brain. So dia takkan result in any clinical effect. However, there are two exceptions to this rule. Facial nucleus dengan hypoglossal nucleus lah. Masalah dia sebab dia connected contralaterally. Dia tak ada backup. So kalau satu part otak tu rosak, dia tak boleh nak supply nerve, maksudnya rosak lah muscle yang innervated by that brain tu, part of the brain. Okay, dekat facial nucleus, the muscles of the lower face receive contralateral input from opposite motor cortex. Therefore, contralateral lesions to the motor cortex ataupun internal capsule results in weakness to the face muscles in the opposite side of the face. Macam I cakap, I terangkan dekat facial motor nucleus tu, lower part yang tak terima signal sebabkan ada berlaku damage dekat corticobulbar tract yang supply dekat situ, dia akan berlaku weakness to the muscles lah, macam paralyzed ke, macam tu. However, they would still be able to wrinkle their forehead as this is bilaterally innervated by the corticobulbar tract. The patient can still wrinkle their forehead because upper part of our face have backup from the side cortex yang tak rosak tu. And then next, hypoglossal nucleus. The genioglossus muscle responsible for sticking out the tongue, receive innervation only from the contralateral motor cortex. Therefore, lesion involving the right motor cortex or internal capsule result in weakness in the left hypoglossal muscle. Therefore, due to the weakness in the left side of the tongue, the strong muscle on the right side push the tongue to the left. Okay, so example, kalau otak kanan kita rosak, lidah belah kiri kita yang akan ada efek. sebab dia supply contralaterally kan, dia supply opposite daripada motor cortex punya side. Okay, so that is the clinical significance. Okay, ni contoh kalau berlaku facial nerve injuries. Kita tengok kat sini, left side motor cortex tu berlaku lesion tau. Okay, so left side cortex dia supply untuk right side punya lower face division. So means ni yang dotted line ni maksudnya dia berlaku kerosakan. So kat sini kita boleh tengok dia akan affect lower part of right face ni kan. Kita tengok kat sini dia punya muka belah kanan dia tu macam a little bit sengit sikit. Sebab dia itulah effect dia kalau berlaku something happen dekat motor cortex tu. Upper motor neuron lesion of facial nerve result from lesion of the pyramid tract above the level of facial nucleus, supranuclear lesion. Ada cakap kan lesion tu maksudnya damage macam tu. It commonly occurs with capsular hemiplegia. There is hemiplegia accompanied by paralysis of lower half of the face of the opposite side of the capsular lesion. The upper part of the face is not affected as it receives cortical bubble from both sides. I dah terangkan dah tadi. Macam tu lah. Macam kita tengok muka belah kanan, muka bawah belah kanan tu, dia punya mulut tu macam sengit sikit. Itu sebab dia ter-effect lah. Okay, macam ni pula clinical sign with lesion of corticonuclear system. Corticonuclear ni same as cortical bubble. Okay, tengok kat sini. Yang tengok muka orang tu. Yang kat sini pula yang rosak dia right side of the cortex which supply contralateral to the left side of our body. So bila otak kanan rosak, kita punya muka belah bawah belah kiri kita yang ada efek. Macam mulut dia macam sengit sikit belah kiri tu. Macam tu. Yang ni pula pun otak belah kanan dia rosak. Tapi sebabkan dia supply contralateral kan, dia supply untuk left side of the body. So lidah belah kiri dia tu macam ada paralyze something lah, macam dah tak function. So lidah dia akan jadi sengit sebab lidah belah kanan dia tak ada apa-apa. So dia akan push lidah belah kiri tu. Dia akan push lidah yang rosak tu. Macam tu. So that is all about corticobubble tract. It's just simple as that. Maybe kalau faham. It's not that tricky lah. So if you macam tak confirm what I presenting just now, you can just search to these references. These are references that I use for these slides. You can just click the link, and yeah, if tak faham juga, you can hit me up. Okay. Okay, so that's all. Thank you for listening throughout this presentation. I hope you can understand. If you not understand, you just can search the references, the link I given just now at the previous slide, and also you can hit me up or ask Madam Ann. Thank you.